What's next?
Now, Madam President, that brings us to items 28 through 32, items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are before us now?
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, we do have cards on all items.
And members, any specials? Okay, let's hold those items. What's next?
Madam President, that brings us to items 33 through 41. They're items scheduled for closed session. Would you like to hold them on the desk?
Let's go to Mr. Krikorian, please.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Items 33 through 41 are all settlements that have been considered by Budget and Finance, which recommends the approval of the City Attorney's recommendations. I should note that items 36, 40, and 41 are items calling for a judgment obligation bond authorization. Other than that, those are all matters that could be considered in open session unless members have questions or concerns to be taken in closed session. Budget and Finance recommends an aye vote on all
okay,
matters.
Mr. Englander?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that, Madam President. If we could just vote separately just on those three, the 36, 40, and 41, that would be great. In fact, if you want to just take 36, 40, and 41 as one block and the rest of them as the other block, that's fine too.
Madam President, unless there are any members wishing to go into closed session, I'll now read those settlement amounts. For item 33, in the case entitled Richmond Awful versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $150,000 in settlement. For item 34, in the case entitled Patricia Halleck versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $400,000 in settlement. For item 35, in the case entitled Deborah Mack versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $251,048.30 in settlement. For item 36, in the case entitled Maria Elena Montoya versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $2.1 million in settlement. For item 37, in the case entitled Jane Doe versus City of Los Angeles et al., there is a recommendation to expend $325,000 in settlement. For item 38, in the case entitled Seda Koparian versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $350,000 in settlement. For item 39, in the case entitled Dustin Daniels et al. Versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $375,000 in settlement. For item 40, in the case entitled Christian Rodriguez et al. Versus City of Los Angeles et al., there is a recommendation to expend $5.75 million in settlement. And for item 41, in the case entitled Paula J. Solorzano et al. Versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $2 million in settlement.
Okay, Mr. Krikorian, let's go ahead and take two separate votes. Let's take items 33, 34, 35, 37, 38, and 39 together. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, those items pass. Let's move on to take the second vote on items 36, 40, and 41. Let's open the roll.
And Madam President, pardon me, before voting, do you wish to bifurcate this matter to first vote on whether, no? Very good. So now that brings us to 36, 40, and 41 that are now before you.
Thank you. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President, for the three settlements we just approved, items 36, 40, 41, that's Montoya, Rodriguez, and Solorzano, respectively, the City Council found that the settlements are in the best interest of the city and that the city intends to make an inter-fund borrowing in advance from the reserve fund to pay the settlements on an interim basis, which loans or advances will be refunded or reimbursed with the proceeds of judgment obligation bond issue. A resolution regarding such intent was separately considered and adopted. Any issuance of judgment obligation bonds would require future council approval, which would be considered by council at a later date.
Okay, let's call Mr. Alcala. You filled out a card for a number of items.